Selected Short Stories. The Cards by Barry Payne. About a year ago, Eliza and myself had a little difference of opinion. I had mentioned to her that we had no visiting cards. "Of course not," she said. "I should not dream of such a thing." She spoke a little angrily. "Why do you say 'of course not'?" I replied quietly. "Visiting cards are, I believe, in common use among ladies and gentlemen." She said she did not see what that had to do with it. "It has just this much to do with it," I answered, "that I do not intend to go without visiting cards another day." "What's the use?" she asked. "We never call on anybody, and nobody ever calls on us." "Is Miss Sakers nobody?" "Well, she has never left a card here, and she really is a lady by birth, and can prove it. When she doesn't find me in, she just asks the girl to say she's been here. If she does not need cards, we don't. You would better do the same as she does." "Thank you. I have my own ideas of what is respectable, and I do not take them from Miss Sakers. I shall order 50 of each sort from Amrit's this morning." "And that makes 100 cards wasted." "Either you cannot count," I said, "or you have yet to learn that there are 3 sorts of cards used by married people: the husband's card, the wife's card, and the card with both names on it." "Good," said Eliza. "Get a card for the cat as well. She knows a lot more cats than we know people." I could have given a sharp reply, but I preferred to remain absolutely quiet. I thought it might show Eliza that she was becoming rather vulgar. However, Eliza went on. "Mother would hate it. I know that. To talk about cards with the last son of calls not paid for. I call it absolutely wrong." I just walked straight out of the house, went down to Amrit's, and ordered those cards. When the time comes for me to put my foot down, I can generally put it down as well as most people. No one could be easier to live with than I am, and I'm sure Eliza has found it so. But what I say is, if a man is not master in his own house, then where is he? Amrit printed the cards while I waited. I suggested some little decoration, a leaf in the corner, or a curved line under the name, but Amrit was against this. He seemed to think that it was quite unnecessary, and it would have cost extra, and also he had nothing of the kind in stock, so I let that pass. The cards looked very well as they were, a little plain and formal, perhaps, but very clean, except in the case of a few where the ink was not quite dry, and very satisfying to one's natural self-respect. That evening I took a small box and packed in it very carefully some of the nicest flowers from the garden, and one of our cards. On the card I wrote, "With kindest love from," just above the names, and posted it to Eliza's mother. So far was Eliza's mother from thinking that the money for the cards had been spent unnecessarily, that she sent Eliza a present of 5 shillings and a parcel with 3 pounds of beef and a nice apron. I only mention this little happening to show whether, in this case, Eliza or I was right. I put a few of the cards in my pocket, and the rest were packed away in a drawer. A few weeks afterwards, I was not at all pleased when I found Eliza using some of her cards for winding silk. She said that it did not prevent them from being used again, if they were ever wanted. "Pardon me," I said, "but cards we find it necessary to leave with people can hardly be too clean. Please don't do it again." That evening, Eliza told me that number 14 in our road had been let to some people called Popworth. "That must be young Popworth, who used to be in our office," I said. "I heard that he was going to be married this year. You must certainly call and leave cards." "Which sort, and how many?" "Without looking it up in a book, I am unable to say precisely. These things are very much a matter of taste. Leave enough. Say 1 of each sort for each person in the house." "How am I to know how many persons there are?" "See if they get their meat from the same shop as ourselves, and if so, ask the butcher." On the following day I said that I thought that Popworth must have come for some money to be taking so large a house, and I hoped she had left the cards. I asked the butcher, And he said there was Popworth, his wife, 2 sisters, a German friend, and 11 children. That means 16 persons. And 48 cards altogether, you see. I still remember your room. My dear Eliza, I said, I told you plainly that it was a matter of taste. You ought not to have left 48 at once. Oh, do you expect me to keep running backwards and forwards, leaving a few at a time? I've got something else to do. There are 3 pairs of your socks in the basket, waiting to be darned as it is. But, good heavens, that Popworth can't be my Popworth. If he's only married this year, he can't, in the nature of things, have got 11 children. And a house like this can't call on a house like that unless there is some reason for it. That's what I thought. Then why in the world did you call? I didn't. Who said I did? I began to feel a little happier. Later in the evening, when Eliza took a card, tore a bit out of each side, and began winding silk on it, I thought it wiser to say nothing. It's better sometimes to give the idea that you haven't seen things.